So here we have the Ser and Estar go formative, and I can help you out with a couple of things here. One thing that you need to make sure that you have written down somewhere in your notes if you don't have them memorized are the Ser and Estar verbs. So for example, the Ser verbs, if we were to write them all down, would be soy for I am, eres for you are, es for he or she or usted is, somos for we are, and son for they are or y'all are. So that's our first verb. And then our estar verbs are the following. So our estar verbs we'll start with estoy for I am, estás for you are, está for he or she is, or usted is you in the polite. Then we have estamos for we are, and están for y'all are or they are. So these verbs here, the ser verbs and the estar verbs, technically in English, the soy is the same thing as estoy. It means I am. So all we're saying here, so the soy is I am, estoy is I am, eres is you are, estás is you are. So the tricky part of this is we have to make sure that we use ser verbs in Spanish are used in certain situations, and estar verbs are used in other situations. So we can't just say, oh, it's you are, so it's estás. It might be eres instead, depending on the situation. So this chart here, this chart is just saying that these are the situations you use estar verbs. So that would be these guys right here. And then this chart is when you use the ser verbs, or these guys here. So make sure you have these conjugations written down in your notebook. They should be there already. And then what you have to do in these exercises is just figure out which of those verbs should go in there. So this one says hola, hello, como, and then how are you? So how are you doing? Well, if we're talking about how you're doing, that's this one right here, how someone is doing. And so we're going to use our estar verbs. So that's these guys here. And it's logically, we're assuming that it's how are you doing. So we're going to choose estás. So this one right here would be como estás. And then it says the sandwiches for lunch blank in the cocina, in the kitchen. So the sandwiches for lunch are in the kitchen. So when we say are, when they are, it's sandwiches are more than one. So we need a they are form. So they are is going to be either están or it's going to be son. And so then we have to decide what are we really saying here? They're in the kitchen. That's talking about where something is, right? So it's talking about location. So that's this right here. Something is located. So because we're talking about where something is located, we're going to use the estar verbs. So that would be this one right here, están. So I'll put están. And están has an accent. So don't forget the accent there on están. And está also has an accent. Make sure you remember those. Then if we look at some others, number 3, blank frios. So we're talking about frios is cold. So here we want to say they are. So they are is either going to be están or son. And because it's saying what they are like right now in this moment, so if we go back to our list here, say something how it tastes, looks, or feels at a certain time, that's going to be an estar verb. So because of that, we're going to use están. So here it's going to be están. So let me give you a few little hints here. I'll give you some options. So la sopa de Susanita, the soup of Susanita, is made of vegetables. So this is either going to be son or están. So you have to choose if it's describing what the soup is made out of, or if it's a location or how the soup is feeling, right? Then it says La Señora Vasquez is going, this is to come, is going to come at 3 o'clock para limpiar, to clean. This is clean the house. She is thin. Okay, so she is thin has to be either es thin or it has to be está thin. So again, you're going to look at your explanation. So if she is a thin person, then that would be S. If she's feeling thin, then it would be está. Right? So most likely it's going to be the characteristic of her. So S would be the best answer there. So it says she is thin. That's thin. Con pelo, with hair that is castaño, dark hair. And she is from Venezuela. So she is from, our choices are either es or está. So the ser verb would be es if it's talking about where she's from. Está, how she's feeling, would be the correct answer if that's what you're describing. So again, this one should be es. Hoy yo regreso. Today I return del trabajo, from work, a las 4:30. ¿Por qué? Because it is Friday. So here we have either es or está again. So here's our Friday. So which one of these do we use for days of the week and time? Just look on that chart and you'll see it. And then los números, the numbers de teléfono de emergencia, the emergency telephone numbers are next to the phone. Okay, so next to, we're describing location. This is going to be, again, either S or esta. So which one of those on the chart describes location? Again, looking back at our chart. Right, so you're looking, okay, we're describing where something is located. That's going to be this one. So estar verbs. So estar verbs, it's going to be está right there. So using these two charts here and these two descriptions of which situations use each, you should be able to figure those out. Let me do a couple down here. So here on this section down below, we have the verbs es and son. Right, and so what we're going to do is we're going to just switch the verb that I've highlighted here to a star verb. So here in the first example, let me change colors here. The first example, it says el queso is horrible. So cheese is horrible. Just in general, cheese is a horrible thing. So what we're going to do instead is we're going to say the cheese is horrible, as in like this cheese in that moment. Remember, going back to our list, if we used a ser verb, it's describing what someone or something is normally like. So cheese is horrible in general. But here, if we use a star verb, now we're saying what it looks like or feels like at a certain time. Right? So now we're saying this cheese at this time is horrible. So our choices then would be, really there's only one choice. So those are our verb es in the star form. So es is the one we have here, right? Es. And our star form is está. So you simply have to change the es verb to the está verb in that exercise. So we're going to simply write here, we're going to write, and the answer would be el queso. And instead of es, we're going to say está horrible. So in English, these would translate the same. The cheese is horrible, the cheese is horrible. But the meaning in Spanish is different, where this is saying the cheese is horrible, like this specific cheese at this specific time is horrible, where this one over here is saying that cheese in general is just horrible. So we're going to do the same thing with the next one. We're going to say la sopa. And then instead of es, we're going to change that to está. And then caliente. And that's it. And now if it's son, our son is going to be están. So we're simply going to change this sentence to las papas fritas están buenas. And that's how that works. So let me know if you have any trouble.